Item 4 is a 2013 Budget and Capital Plan Workshops timeline. Elizabeth?
Well, I just want to say Heinz has done a phenomenal amount of work. He's met with everybody. I also want to encourage you board people who've been submitting your capital requests to make sure that this is something that the board can discuss and tailor down. So if something's missing, get it on there. We can do a pass at it. And Heinz is expecting to deliver us a draft in August, and we should plan on workshopping it several times before we start with the budget.
But I'd like to set a schedule as to when we should get the preliminary budget.
Let's hear from Heinz and see if we could sketch something out.
I think capital budget that I'm working on is probably 40% of your, maybe 50% of your total budget. But I think the expense budget has to be discussed at the same time you do your capital budget, so you know what kind of trade-offs you have to make.
Mm-hmm.
And I would suggest that, as Elizabeth said, that you have at least 2 or 3.
Yeah, I can't barely.
I'm sorry, that we should do at least 2 or 3 of these sessions just to see where we, where we're going, because the first one is oh my God, so much. The second one we got to start cutting here or rearranging priorities and that sort of thing. So if your budget has to be in December and you meet once a month, I would think that we probably need 2 or 3 different iterations of that, which we should start about sometime in August.
I think we should start after Labor Day.
Well, I would urge that we get the preliminary budget earlier.
I'm talking about the capital plan.
That's only one thing. The budget is not driven solely by the capital plan. That's just a question of
This is
how
what
much
we're discussing, the capital plan timeline. I don't think we can set the budget timeline, can we?
Well, I don't know why we can't, and if we don't set it, people are going to
I meant
find that the dates aren't available. I would love to have a schedule. I know from the past that we had a lot of workshops last year, and
I think Elizabeth means the town board can't, that has to.
come from the budget officer.
right. So I'm asking, when is the supervisor going to give us the budget, and then we can work from there.
We're going to get the worksheets after the first week in August.
So we're asking each department.
I was hoping to have it by now. So you'll have the worksheets for your departments.
So then Shelley puts that.
Tom, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Get worksheets. The worksheets will show you last year's budget, this year's budget, where we are with this year's budget, and so on. And then you'll be able to go to your departments and say,
Add more.
where can we
We've
give
got
you more
tons
money?
of money.
Yeah. so on. But last year we did it kind of early. And the idea, actually we did it at the end of June. We should have gone to our departments and been ahead of the game. But we do follow comptroller's guidelines on schedules. We have to put we ultimately adopt the budget in the second week of November. We have, before that, we have a couple of phases of proposing of budgets. We have a hearing on the budget also. So
Can we tell Shelley we would like the preliminary budget by August 20th?
I don't know if that's an issue or not. We could.
Well, why don't we ask and see if she has an issue, but if we don't set a time, everything slips, and then maybe we can schedule sometimes in September to go over that and the capital thing, because
one of the issues is that we don't get the following year's state retirement, what the increase will be for that, and so.
right, there's always going to be blanks that get filled in later, but at least we ought to get a start. And last year we followed the practice of having each department come in and talk to us.
Well, my suggestion is go to your departments before that period, so you can be a leg up on that. I mean, we'll be able to talk to each other about that and make some headway before we get to that point.
Well, are you envisioning that we wouldn't, as a board, speak to each department and leave it to the
We can, sure,
liaison?
sure. With the worksheets, we should be able to approach our department heads.
Okay, so
Talk to them about what their needs are, so on. And we'll have that opportunity to pass the worksheets on to them. So, but the liaison should make some headway before that point of having our scheduled workshops for the budget. It'll make it more efficient. We had previous to the previous years before last, so it worked pretty well.
Is it possible to schedule every Tuesday in September to have workshops on the budget? That's ultimately what I'd like to do, so people can plan their lives
Around our budget.
around these dates. And maybe at the next meeting, we should come prepared to set when we want to do these workshops.
Right. I can't schedule anything at this point because my wife's starting her job and depends upon her schedule, for me at least.
Right, but for the rest of us, we do need some kind of schedule because my wife plans my life. And if there's a void, an appointment will be made.
Right.
So I got to tell her what the schedule is. But why don't we come at the next meeting, and maybe you can talk to Shelley and see if she can shoot for August 15 for the preliminary budget.
You'll have your worksheets by then, anyway. You're talking about the August meeting?
Will these be scrubbed this time, or are they just going to be the raw input from the worksheets?
I'm not going to do what I did 3 and 2 years ago with the committee on the Finance Controls Committee because we're pretty bare bottoms right now.
Yeah.
We've scrubbed it enough over the years where I think it's...
Well, the reason I'm asking, are there going to be guidelines? Because if I say, okay, I want to add $50,000 to my $1,000 budget, and then I get cut to $5,000 on my $1,000 budget, that's a strategy to put your input in.
Right.
Right, I mean, and Joe will feel sorry for me because my budget was cut so much, and we'll fight over that. So what I'm asking is, are we going to have caps, and are we going to justify changes? Are we going to ask people to justify changes?
I hope so.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
That's what I would envision at these workshops. When we see each department, we would ask compare it to what the expenditures were in 2011, look at year-to-date, look at increases as to why. But I think the preliminary budget probably will be just putting together these worksheets. And then we have to trim from that
And address the capital plan.
and address the capital plan. That will be part of it.
Sure, right.
So-
As you know, last year, the trick was that we got nailed with the state and the medical. That was substantial, and then we had to adjust for that, so.
Right, but we
it's
had
fine,
a...
it's fine to say this, we're going to keep, just so you know, that's what's going to happen, that's what typically happens. We don't know what we're going to be handed from them, so.
But the thing that went wrong with that, and I'm sorry, but is all the towns got hit with the same stuff. All the towns are on the same schedule pretty much. And the other towns, or many of the other towns, were able to deal with the medical and were able to deal with the retirement information up front. They somehow got that information that was a last minute surprise to us, and is every year.
Right.
And so I don't know what we're doing wrong or what we're doing differently, but the other towns don't struggle like we do
Oh,
with
I
this.
disagree with you on that, Bruce.
On those two issues?
On medical and pension,
On knowing what the rates are?
I think think they struggle just as much as we do.
You think they don't know the rates?
You think we don't know?
We don't.
Is that why?
We don't.
you think
That's what Tom
the
was saying.
issue?
Yeah.
If you recall, last year, a lot of towns came in with 30% increases, 20-something% increases, and it was a big, front page news. So we don't know what's going to be handed down to us until we see them.
But my recollection is we met
I
with...
mean, it was worked out, it was worked down to whatever it was, but it was definitely unpredictable.
My recollection was we had our first meeting with the consultant around August.
And they told us
And-
24%.
Well, he said a big increase, and then he threw out the idea of increasing how much we're self-insured for, or how much we pick up. Look, we can ask him to come as early as he can when he has some information. We ought to push for that. The earlier, the better. I understand that there's going to be last-minute changes, and it really isn't going to get done till November, the final, but we might as well get a start on it. So I guess the only thing I'm asking is if we could come to the next meeting with an idea of a schedule when we want to meet. And Tom, if you can ask Shelley if it's possible to do the preliminary by August 15, August 20, but try to pin her down to a date.
But our next meeting is at the end of August.
No, but the worksheets for the department heads are going to be available
Okay.
August 1st. So we can start on that. That's what
No,
Tom
after
said.
after the first week in August, so,
After the first week in August?
so figure sometime after, I don't know. That's what I was told, at least you'd have them
So
available.
August 8th?
August 8th, right?
And that just means they'll be available to give out to our departments?
Yeah, you'll receive them. Yeah.
I don't know why we couldn't just use the same one we used last year. It's so,
Well, you could use your budget. Sure. You can get ahead of it with that.
all right.
All right, but I'll work on that, definitely. Okay. I'll get you information before the next meeting, before the 20th, we have a special meeting on the 20th, but our regular meeting's the 27th, but I'll, when I get information on the worksheets and so on, we'll get some information.
Tom, that should also include the capital part of it.
Uh,
When I look for the capital expenditures to date, it was up to May, and I'm talking about July. So there's a 2 months lag there. And I had a sense that even some of the decisions that were made on the board at the time were not in April, were not in the April minutes, that were not implemented into the capital plan as well.
Right, it's true.
I didn't hear anything you said, Heinz.
I'm sorry?
I couldn't hear you.
What I said was that when I requested the capital expenditure plans, and I'm talking about maybe 2 weeks ago, the only one that was available was back in May. Nothing more current than May. And then I found that even there were some entries not made yet that should have been made.
Right.
So there's a lag in that area.
A
there.
lag in the bookkeeping
The
department?
bookkeeping, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Heinz, what are you talking about exactly? What
I'm talking about particularly the $30,000 that you guys were talking about, you and Elizabeth, about transfer of the drug money, where Kathy Kinsella was supposed to get another $30,000 on top of the 63 that you had already in the budget, and that has not shown up yet.
Heinz just brought it to my attention this evening that he's under the impression that there was an action taken in April that didn't actually transfer, that happened. And I appreciate you bringing it to my attention, but I need to look into it to make sure, because I don't have, obviously, the minutes with me. But we should go back and look at that and see if that's so or not. But I think we do need to look into it and see if it was an actual movement, because I do believe what you may be referring to is money that's in an equipment line. So I don't know if it's appropriate where it is or if it needs to be transferred, but we should research the minutes to double check that.
It was supposed to be added to the equipment line, as I
We,
understand.
right, but I'm not, right, I think there's just, I'm not sure if there was an action actually needed to happen or what's there is what was intended. We'll need to look into the wording of that.
Okay. All right. Okay, item 5, the Winter Farmers Market.
The Winters Farmers Market has contacted me, and they would like to renew and use the facility here for Winters Farmers Market. The initial contact asked for maybe we could do a 2-year contract. My reaction to them was I would prefer a 1-year contract because every year we seem to be making minor changes, and we as a town board have more control if it's a 1-year contract. I don't know if any board members feel differently. They should let me know. They also said that sometimes when they come in, and particularly if there's a Saturday event here, the place is not in good condition, and asked if somehow we can take responsibility, and I'm not quite sure how we can do that. I don't know, I think our form agreement requires that the place be left clean and in good condition, and I think the only thing we can do is tell the Winters Farmers Market that they should tell us specifically what days they believe that the condition of this room is not in good, and then we can get after the people who used it and perhaps deny, if it's a problem, deny the use of the town hall in the future. We could always, if we wanted to, and I'm not sure it rises to this, ask for some kind of security deposit that could be used if the farmer's market has to pay somebody to clean up before they start. I don't know if we want to go there or not. I think we want some changes in the agreement. I have gotten a complaint from the neighbors about trucks parking in front of their yard and blocking, and we'll try to work out some better wording on that. So I just wanted to let the board know if anybody feels strongly that, or feels that we should have a 2-year contract rather than a 1-year contract. Let me know, because I've already said that at least I, speaking for myself as an individual town board member, would not be in favor of a 2-year contract.
I think the nature of interior winter things is mud and slush and muck and salt. And so, I think the town hall is kept fairly clean even in the winter. But maybe we need to just be more aware of if there's going to be things on Friday and Saturday prior to the farmer's market, that we make sure we let those people know that they have to keep it clean. I'm all for 1 year as opposed to 2, and are they looking to increase it all, or are they totally filled?
In terms of what,
Of
people
vendors.
participating?
Yeah.
They haven't said they're going to increase. The room is pretty filled now. I haven't even asked that question.
I've
But-
had one thing that I've been told that they back their trucks up on the concrete. outside. I don't know
I've
that
heard
that's-
one report of that. I did mention that,
Good.
and if you remind me, I'll put that in the contract. Bruce, let me ask you this. Is it possible, and I don't know what the schedule is at this point of cleaning the town hall, but during the winter, is it possible to move the cleaning to a Friday?
It always was a Friday up until last couple of months.
So we could go back, well, we can think about it. We ought to discuss whether to go back to a Friday. We can just do it for the Winters Farmers Market if it's, the other day is, more convenient. But at least that way.
I have two things with that. I like the farmer's market, but the parking in the back here, that neighbor cannot get out of her driveway.
I did speak to.
And that's got to get fixed.
Yeah, I did speak to the neighbor today.
This one?
Yeah, I spoke to that one and that one.
Okay. Well, the public streets are different than
Yeah,
the
no,
right-of-way
I
back
did
here.
speak to her. She also said that the other thing is she requested, Tom, that on weekends we park the van closer to the street because sometimes the van and her backing up causes her a problem. So let me relay that if we can ask the van driver to park closer to the street.
The other thing is we have to somehow secure the stage better. These speakers are direct PA speakers. They came out for farmer's market at some time and they've never gone back out of the cage back there. The microphone, I'm not saying the farmer's market took the microphones, but the microphones are all gone now. And the lock is gone. And so just, I think in general for the town hall, we have to figure out how to secure things better up there. And I like 1 year as well.
I do too.
Can we do something for Rhinebeck farmers?
I'm sorry?
I was told that there'd be availability for Rhinebeck farmers to be able to be a part of this, and I haven't seen it. I've been approached by some local people, and they said they want a spot. They want a spot in the town hall.
And they haven't been able to get it?
So do we want to make that a priority?
Even if we just, certainly, yeah, definitely.
I think that's a
If,
consideration.
Tom, if you could give me, and I don't mean now the specifics of what people, because they're going to ask me
I'd
that.
rather maybe we approach the farmers ourselves or something. I mean, they come
Okay.
to me, if you're going to lead this contract, I'd like to, definitely see this followed through. I'll go with you to the farm also if you want. Don't worry.
They have fairly strict policies on not overlapping for people who have been there. I know that that's been an issue for people that I know that have approached them and tried to get in. And until the original person leaves, they have a non-compete
Right.
thing, which is kind of annoying, but maybe they can be talked into expanding or
Rotating
changing
or-
what they're offering somehow, so it's a little bit different. I think the more the merrier, that's always my thought. But- Okay,
Thanks, Joe.
Wait for Bruce. All right. Item 6 is a core group rezoning request.
This is what we discussed at a previous meeting, and the first step, in my mind, which we asked for, is whether the core state group was willing to give us an escrow deposit to cover the estimates of the experts that we would use, which would be Ted Fink and John Lyons. And the core state group has given us a check for the escrow. Before we start asking John and Ted to do it, to advise us, I wanted to make sure that the board is willing, assuming that there are no legal hurdles or major policy things that we haven't thought of, whether we would be willing to change the zoning. And my understanding from Marie is we're talking about just one parcel. And Marie has brought a map to show us what the one parcel is. You know, we do have the risk of, we are creating a precedent of changing the zoning. We did hear that this particular parcel before the latest zoning law was zoned as industrial, and that's what we would go back to, commercial and industrial for this one parcel. There may be an issue, and I guess our legal people will point it out, of spot zoning, but I don't think we have to cross that tonight. But I just want to make sure that philosophically the board is in tune of changing the zoning, assuming that the lawyer and the planner who are going to comb through our comprehensive plan find no showstoppers. And Marie, this is the one parcel that we're talking about?
That's correct, Joe. It's a 7.5 acre parcel roughly, and it takes up the middle of this map. The parcels on the east and west of it are residential properties owned by Don Pitcher on the east, well, actually, yeah, on the east, and Millie Pitcher on the west. Actually, it's north and south if you look at the north.
And the zoning for those parcels would not change?
Would not
from your
change,
idea.
nor would their 37 acre remaining parcel that borders on Route 9G would not change. The only application before this, it's not an application at this point, the only request for rezoning of this property is for the property that was the Pitcher Greenhouses that is owned by Core Group. He says, Joe says Core State, but it's not Core State, it's Core Group Properties, Inc. And I know when we were here the last time, the town planning board chairman actually got up and spoke in favor of this. In his opinion, it was not spot zoning either. And he said it really doesn't set a precedent. And if you look at other town and zoning laws, you'll find that just about every town has a procedure for changing zoning on particular pieces of property. So they're not looking for anything that they didn't already have. They'd like to go back to what it was before. I did mention in the letter that I sent, I think it was about a 3 or 4 page letter, that this property has already received variances for the multiple residents that are on the property. As a multiple residence property, it really is commercial property. I'm not sure that when the new zoning map was drawn, anybody looked at that when they said, we're going to take this out of a commercial type property and put it in residential. Because with all the multiple greenhouses, of which there were 2 more before the snowstorms that we had 2 years ago, the barn that's currently being operated as a florist shop, the residential units, it really is commercially used and operated. And so they would like to go back to get that designation that they already had. And as I say, I think it was just an oversight on the town. Whoever drew that map to make the change didn't look at it closely enough to.
What is the current zoning? Is it zoned as residential or green?
It is currently zoned as residential 5 acre. The land across the street, across Middle Road, is ORP. These 3 lots and the other 37 acres were ORP before the adoption of the new zoning map.
Marie, this parcel, the 7.468 acres, that has one tax identification number?
Yes. Yes, it's one grid number.
Now, I guess I've seen something indicating that there has been cooking on this facility. Has there been?
I'm going to let Dan address that.
No cooking. The events that we had there last summer were done by licensed caterers that have their licenses in Dutchess County.
Can everyone hear?
Can everybody hear me? Sorry. events are done by caterers that are licensed. They bring the food in already prepared. They serve it on, and then we don't do any dishes. There's nothing. They take all those dishes away with them. I mean, as they are, they take them out, put them in, and they come and pick them up the next morning. So there's no cooking being done.
Is the food heated on premises? How does the food get hot?
I think they bring those in those containers. It's already heated.
And it isn't being done at this time anyway because of the fact that they had to stop
Right.
until they could address the issue of whether or not events could be held at this location, in which the zoning enforcement officer at the time issued them to stop work order, so they have stopped doing that. The idea behind the change in the zoning is to be able to go back to the procedures they were doing before, which did include off-premises preparation, off-premises cleanup, on-site portable toilets, similar to what were in place at the wedding of Chelsea Clinton, that everybody remembers 2 years ago, and what a great event that was. And the problem is that, number one, it being residential, you're not allowed to have that, and number two, that there isn't any provision for an event venue in any of the zoning in the town. And so, in addition to the change to the zone of this lot, we're asking to a change in the zoning law to allow that type of event. And as I say, I know Sharon Sherrod is here, and I believe she was here at the last meeting. Michael Trimble spoke very favorably about this project.
No, we were here at the last meeting
Right,
also,
and
I can
that's why
assure
we're
you.
surprised we're here tonight, because we thought this was already, once he turned in his retainer, it was to go ahead, so.
That's
Well,
not my
it was brought
recollection
us-
of what
It was
we,
brought to our attention that there were photographs of cooking being done on the premises, and that, to me, I visited the place, and I commend you. It's lovely. It's beautiful. I would love to have an event there. It's really lovely. But I think you have to follow correct procedure and be totally upfront with what you want to do and have done, so you don't get yourself in this situation. Just because you did spend a lot of money making it so beautiful doesn't mean then that you can say you have to let us do it because it's a financial hardship if we don't. I'm not against this project at all. I would like to see it succeed as long as you follow all of the regulations that you have to follow, including Board of Health and zoning and planning and all of that. I think it was a little orphan parcel. I think the rezoning of it looks like it should have been ORP. I think, after talking to Michael Trimble about it extensively, I think I agree with his assessment on that. But I think you just have to be very careful that you are totally upfront and make sure you get all the permits in place before you do things.
Sorry.
I just have a couple of questions I need answered. One, after talking with the assessors, and I need some legal advice before I can take any position on this, and it's something I'd like to talk to you guys about.
I thought we were going to meet with John Lyons and Michael and the planner to talk about not just specifically this piece of property, but the town's overall zoning. But this was part of it that kind of spurred it.
I have something,
And I had seen John, and I don't think we're at the point of looking at this to rezone it right now. We have to
No,
look
we
at the
need-
whole town.
And we need more information. And I have something I'll speak to you tonight in executive session about that I found out about that we need to do more research on.
so before we spend any of the money that you gave us, I think the board is saying they want to think about it more.
I mean,
Get
not to
some
say
more
that we're not
information.
in support of it. We just have to do this right.
Right.
I mean, that was all.
We've just
There
passed
was, yeah.
we've passed a comprehensive plan. I think we're a pro-business board, or at least I'll speak for myself. I'm hesitant to take a quick action in light of our comprehensive plan and in light of other things that we're facing with regard to the comprehensive plan. So I think we need to get the correct advice.
So should we table this to the next meeting? Is
Yeah.
that what we're saying?
In that vein, then, I wish you would put into place a procedure so that the town can look at these individually in the future and not have to go through an entire process when it comes to rezoning an individual parcel, because it's done in many towns, it's done in multiple towns, so
Yeah.
the town really needs to have that procedure in place. As long as you're looking at it, might as well look at it right now.
Yeah, I mean, we have a procedure in place,
Well,
but.
you don't, not compared to other towns who actually have a form that you fill out.
Right.
You notify your neighbors, which, it's really very simple.
Right.
It's not nearly as complicated as it feels like it's being made tonight.
And it doesn't require a town board?
It does require town board, but it only requires 20% of your neighbors to sign, or the 50% of the landowners adjacent to. It's really not
But
as onerous as.
You know, I
as
think
it's
that's
becoming.
really contrary to the
To our-
theory behind our
Yeah,
comprehensive
we've spent a lot of
plan.
time and effort on the comp plan, and I think
Yeah.
we're all committed to it, so that when we do change something, it needs to be with some thought and legal advice.
Yeah, I don't think we want an automatic
Oh, it-
change.
it doesn't become automatic.
That's contrary.
But there should be a procedure in place that makes it less difficult. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary. Thanks for
Bree,
waiting.
I can give you your map back.
You sure you don't want to keep it?
Oh, can I?
I think we
Is
have.
it the same as this one?
We have it? Okay.
Is there an escrow account? you
Yes.
said?
Yes, we've received $3,500, but we won't expend anything till we can say that we're prepared to go forward unless there's some showstoppers, so.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
RFP for town hall IT.
Well, really, 6 and 7 are kind of the same thing. I don't know how
Mean
they.
7, 8.
Yeah, well,
Right.
so we can combine 6 and 7. The last meeting, we discussed it, and I was going to get legal advice, which I got, and I spoke to Joe about it after I spoke to Pam Richardson. I guess in the best world, it would be great if we could write our own RFP. We're not equipped to do it. We have a burnt out, a very dedicated, great tech committee, but overwhelmed, and I can't write it, they can't write it. We need help writing it. I wish we could write it, we can't. So I would like to have Northeast Computers write the RFP. They'll have it done for us in time for September. We can put it out and get bids on it. It will be broad enough so that they can bid on it and everybody else can bid on it.
And you mentioned that it was, you got legal advice that it's okay for them to do the RFP and so
It
on. I
is,
just want to make sure that that's
it's
on the record.
okay. It's not ideal.
Just for the
It's
record.
not best practice, but it's not illegal.
Exactly. I wish we didn't have to do it, but we don't, I don't have the expertise to write it, and our tech committee can't write it at this time.
Well, are we the ones that are issuing and managing the RFP?
Yes,
So
yes.
we're just using them as advisors.
Yes.
It's different that if they're the ones who are paying to manage the RFP.
No, we're going to pay them to write it.
Well, no, I'm not sure. Philosophically, Bruce, the idea is that the RFP shouldn't be drafted in a way that favors the drafter of it. That's the theory
Right,
of what. Let me just finish why we have it. This is a very small amount of money we're talking about, in theory, to fill the RFP.
The
And
RFP will probably be under $10,000.
Pardon me?
It'll probably be under $10,000.
Right. And I think it's probably going to call for standardized equipment that any bidder should be able to provide. Indeed, Bruce, you may be technologically sophisticated enough to be able to say this is standardized equipment when we get the RFP. Hopefully, we can beg the people who have worked so diligently on the tech committee to take a look at it. I guess we can't promise that they would. So I guess I feel comfortable going ahead on this, for this RFP because of the small size, that I think it will be standardized equipment, and it shouldn't favor any particular bidder. So I would say we should go ahead with them
So we
drafting.
said the same thing, it's just.
Yeah, I
he
did
says
it
longer than I do.
Wadir, and, yeah, thanks. We're gonna have Northeast Computers write it, it'll be out in September, we'll get some bids and move ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to vote on, no, it's just an update. We did vote on it, yeah. Yeah, thanks.
All right, let's move on to liaisons. Let me, IT kind of is following up. This is addressing some of the issues with the comptroller's review of us. They're focusing on IT, retirement. Those are their main keys. They're here, they'll be here for a few more weeks. Sometimes there's 4 people here, most of the time there's just 1 person here, but they're here and helpful. We want them to be here. They're going to help us learn what we need to know about how we're doing our job here, so it's a good thing. As part of their thing, I've kind of got a heads up that I'm trying to put together a master policy book. We have a bunch of policy and procedure things, so one of their things is that, where does an employee go to find out about this? We'll put it in one book, put the book together. We'll hand each employee a policy book, have one here in Town Hall, and have them sign that they received the book, and then as we make the policies, we'll do the same thing for the future. They've taken a policy that we developed over a town board meeting, so it kind of addresses, the mystery of what policies we've done for the past. So that's something that's going on. Seniors thing's going pretty good. The van, Safe at Home program, trying to develop with the hospital. Just the Safe at Home program is what our role is there. I might do a thing on that for us for the future, but they want us to be sort of the receiver of the calls, and then an occupational therapist and a contractor will go to the house, but we're going to be sort of the first step to get them to go to the house. We'll make the contact, and the Committee on the Aging is kind of working on that, so I'll do a presentation in the future on that so it's clear. By the way, there's a not-for-profit that has developed. It's sort of members of our old committee. They're actually being based in Health Quest gave them a room, so I'm going to have Nina Lynch is sort of the head of that, and she's going to do a presentation in August for us on that. The good thing about that is that they're able to raise funds and so on to keep programs going. We don't have to worry year by year about budgeting for some programs. I mean, we have the van, which is good, but these other programs that help our aging community are going to be kind of developed through this other group. And I'll have her come in August. She's already said she'd come, so that's something new. Good for Rhinebeck. Budget worksheets are coming, as I said. The bookkeeper's backed up. Just, don't ask any cost study requests for her. And that she's also dealing with the auditors, the comptroller. So just keep in mind that she's working hard, and we have our budget approaching. The Cove update you had, comptroller. You've had, I'm going to get this credit card that you guys volunteered me to take.
Do you like that?
Yeah, I love that. So I got to go to M&T and wrap that up.
Yeah.
And Kim, who's taking Nancy's responsibility, she is the online banking person, but she needs her email address. She needs her own dedicated email address for that, and really that's just a matter of having it set up. So.
Look, in that connection, I told her she would start on August 1st. I think she ought to start a week before with the extra hours so she can sit with Nancy.
Well, all right, paperwork's done. Paperwork's done, and I think. Yeah. Okay.
So I'll ask her.
What do you mean by own email? Her own
Pardon me?
She's
already met
She
with
didn't have her own email.
Oh,
It
okay.
actually
Own
goes
email?
through Ed.
Maybe
to
that's
her.
sufficient,
So she has
but
to
maybe
have
she
her own
ought to
dedicated
sit.
online email.
Thing is, don't forget, we can't capture outgoing emails, so
Right.
that's something we're,
Somebody has something similar to this, though, here. I don't know who has it. Maybe Shelley has an email from the bank? I don't know. But there was something where they could copy it. I think
Okay.
Joan knew this
All right, so
somehow.
they're-
Yeah.
work on it.
Might be done already, I don't know.
Right.
And then that's it for me.
Okay. Yeah, he does. Web, we started our data migration to the new Drupal Gardens website. We, 5 of us on Thursday, gosh, I don't know, I want to say Tuesday night started. I have homework for everybody, which I'll be contacting you about as liaisons. The web committee decided that we're going to have to update our committee pages. So I'll be contacting you all, and hopefully you'll help me get this information together. It's things like on the rec committee, who's on the rec committee, what's their term. We're going to mandate that people start using town email addresses. So we're not going to put personal email addresses on the website anymore. And then as we get our new mail server, that will be more up to speed. So people are going to have to do that, check those. So I'll be contacting you with all of this paperwork, and we could do it by email. But it was a terrific web committee meeting. Joan Winnie and all the other members spent quite a lot of time migrating some data. We have a couple of more meetings left. Well, who are we kidding? We have a lot more to do, but it was a good start. Tech, you're up to date. CAB is here, or they've got their student liaison. RAC is not meeting this month. They'll start again in September. The Rhinebeck Advisory Council will start meeting again in August or September. And Highway, Kathy's here if you'd like to give an update.
Thank you. This is very high. Thank you. I just want to let you know that we are moving along at a very good pace at the Parsonage Street Bridge, and we have finished the main pours down to reinforce the footings, which is really, it worked out really well. We have stabilized the banks with the large stone and riprap that have been put into place. That work is done, and we've moved into some landscape restoration, which we will continue. We also, we're working it out with the village engineer regarding some remaining work that needs to be done, which is well out of, the water range. It's up toward the bank under the sidewalks, about whether or not to do that now, or the work that they're going to do on the line. Will that disrupt that work anyway? Should it be done later? Should it be something that they restore? We're working those details out. They are not ready to move forward at this point. They are still reviewing and have to put that together to find a contractor, to put out a bid and find a contractor. So I think they're a couple months away from being ready to proceed. But we are on target. A lot of the work will be substantially done, and as I said, some of the loose ends we will come back and do over the next couple of weeks, but that's pretty much what they'll be. After tomorrow is some loose ends. So we're very pleased with the way that turned out. When we spoke, I believe it was last month, about Parsonage Street Bridge, and a question had come up about why is it the town's bridge and not the village's bridge. So since it came up, and was talked about in Panda in public, I wanted to give the follow-up on that so that nobody was left hanging, since we know everybody watches Panda like it's a serial soap opera. But basically, since 1909, there's been a movement in the state that removes bridges from villages and puts them under the auspices of the towns. A lot of that for financial reasons. The towns have the bigger pocketbook, and the villages were not generally keeping up with the infrastructure. So Parsonage Street clearly is under town ownership. This is under Village Law, Section 6604, is the one that states that the town superintendent of highways has control of and is responsible for repair, maintenance, and construction at town expense of all bridges in villages which were not under the control of the village as of February 17th, 1909. There was some discussion about would it be something that a village would take back, and our town consulting engineer weighed on that as well, with just saying that with the 2,750 bridges that he's overseen, he has never seen a bridge turned back from a town to a village. And again, gave the background on the financial reasons that towns came to have that ownership. So I just wanted to follow up on that. Also, there was some question about the town of Pauling, and that the village there may actually have bridges, but I did verify with the town highway superintendent that the town has responsibility for all of the bridges in the village of Pauling. So I just wanted to clarify any of that information. Tom, you mentioned it in the announcements earlier, but I think we're getting closer to the date, so I'm really trying to make sure the public is aware of the Household Hazardous and Electronic Waste Disposal Day at the Highway Department. There are flyers available. It is Saturday, October 6th. But pre-registration is mandatory. You have to call the county and register and then send in a prepayment of only $5 for an unlimited amount of items that you can bring right here locally. I think this is a real convenience and a great service that we can offer for town residents and other local area residents. Anybody with any questions about it, other than the registration, please feel free to give me a call at the Town Highway Department, 876-6263. For registration, please call 486-7340 or visit dcrra.org to register and schedule an appointment. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to just report on the affordable housing. We are going to have a closing here on Wednesday at 11. Tom's going to be here to sign the contracts, and the developer has signed contracts already and will bring them, and the developer is going to bring a check for the rec fee, and there's some other checks relating to Thompson-Mazzarella Park trails. So that closing should happen 11 o'clock on Wednesday. And Tom, you have that in your calendar,
Yep,
right?
I do.
Joe, I couldn't figure out how that cash flows for the trails. It looks like it goes to Winnicke and then to the town, or does it?
No, the trails was a deal between Winnicke and the developer. Town has nothing to do with it. I believe the genesis of it was that Winnicke was granted certain trail easements, and Winnicke cut back on trails, particularly along Astor Drive. And in return for that, the developer has agreed to pay some money, I assume, into the Thompson-Mazzarella Fund to be let off the hook for some of these trails. But I had nothing to do with that part, and Winnicke is running that part of it because they're the ones who are giving up the right for some trails.
You.
Oh, boy. Hi, Heinz. Heinz has been driving me crazy.
But it's a good crazy.
Hey, that's your opinion. Let's see, the tiebacks or tie-ups for the big ships at the dock are in Rhinecliff. They went in this week, or last week. We did not lose the dock. We didn't, so things went well. We have pictures of it, so I'm
Good.
getting in practice of taking pictures, Joe. I think the park is moving along. We've met with the planning board. Sharon Sherrod back there is doing 3 hours a day of her regular life and everything else she's doing on the park. So she's up to 21 hours on the park a day. We're meeting with the Thompson Trust, I think, this week to give them an update. We are going to ask them to release the rest of the money that has been held over the last few years, because we have plans to try and build the ADA accessible field house this year with the money that we have on hand.
Well, they gave you money, but there's some restrictions on use that you're asking
Right,
them to
they
waive.
committed $300,000 to us. They said they would give it to us over 4 years, and they gave us one payment of $75,000, and then we haven't really needed it. But now we're getting to the point where we need it. We also want to get the trail efforts going as well. Rec is going reasonably well. People seem to be happy with the quality. We aren't getting as many complaints as we normally get in a year, so it's not significantly different, but it's not too bad. I did realize that when we don't have a rec director, there is no buffer, so that's why I get more of the complaints that come to me directly. So, but that seems to be going okay.
I must say, I wandered down there one evening, and I guess there was a swim meet going on, and I was very pleased to see several hundred people there using that facility. I think that's great.
Yeah, it's used much more now and in recent years than it had been for a while. The youth population is declining as we talk, so we're getting more adults starting to use it. We also have some people that were named tonight that are going to work on making the pool a more family-friendly place, and with things that they've learned from other towns. Because we do lose people to Red Hook and other places because of that. That's pretty much it. I'll get to the pitch, but Joel probably wants to go first.
You want to?
How do you want to do it, boss?
Bruce has a presentation. You want to go first, Joe? No, go ahead, really. He can get set up and warmed up and dance and stuff before he does it. So go ahead.
Actually, I'll sneak out for a smoke if you want to talk. Not that I don't care, it's just I prefer to smoke.
We'll brief you, Bruce.
I have some handouts. First thing I want to say is I've noticed that a number of different politicians, elected officials, are having telephone town halls. And for the last 9 years, I've been a county legislator. Almost every month, I try to have a forum here. Sometimes there's a lot of people. Most of the time, not too many people show up. So I just thought I'd try this. I don't know if it's going to fall flat on its face. Tomorrow, I am having a telephone town hall. And so you're all invited to participate using freeconferencecall.com. Maybe next time I'll use teletownhall.com. But the phone number to call, if anybody's interested, tomorrow 5:30 is 712-775-7000. I'll give that out again. It's 712-775-7000. And there's a special code, 248-976-pound. That's 248-976-pound. If there's an easier, better, cheaper, simpler way to do this, I'll try to find a way to do it. And who knows, maybe 2.5 people will call in, but I just thought I'd try it. If people want more information on this, I'm at 876-2488-444-0599. For a year or two now, I've been saying that Dutchess County needs to, about a year, take a look at which banks in Dutchess County are sort of foreclosing a lot of properties and maybe move business, not have huge business accounts with Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo. And I don't know if you saw it, but the Poughkeepsie Journal a week ago yesterday, last Sunday, the Poughkeepsie Journal had a big editorial talking about the city of Poughkeepsie and making sure that properties aren't abandoned. But there was a whole paragraph in that Poughkeepsie Journal editorial devoted to, cities, towns, and villages and counties, municipalities shouldn't necessarily be doing business with banks that are irresponsible. That was right in the Poughkeepsie Journal. So I'm just sharing that with you. It's something I've been working on for a while. There's actually 2 Republicans a couple months ago that voted along with the Democratic caucus for a resolution that I had for the county to evaluate our policy. Didn't get out of committee. It almost got out of committee, but anyway, that. I just got information today from George Crum, the Dutchess County Jail Administrator, that there's about 84 people in the Dutchess County Jail right now who are in there for sort of one drug offense or another, accused of one drug offense or another. And 8 of those, to be fair, 8 out of the 84 have been accused and or convicted of intention to sell. But just so people are aware, 76 out of those 84 are just in there for drug possession. And, to me, drug possession is a public health issue. It's a public health problem. Town supervisor probably know this better than I do. I think it's about $100 a day or so to keep somebody in the county jail. So if you just do the math real quickly, 76 nonviolent folks, with nonviolent drug offenses, times 100, that's $7,600 a day. Times 30 days in a month, that's over $200,000 a month. Times 12 months, that money starts to add up pretty quickly. That's about $2.5 million a year, which is roughly, half of the boarding out costs. So I'm urging, once again, as I have for many years, for Dutchess County to take another look at some of these issues, because it's not just a moral issue, it's a taxpayer issue. I also wanted to invite you can see I handed this out, little forum I'm doing at the end of August. There's a lot of different sort of innovative ideas and solutions and notions you can see on that flyer. The two that I'm centering on are Green Jobs, Green Dutchess. I worked hard along with a lot of other people to get state legislation passed in 2009 for Green Jobs, Green New York. What's unfortunate is hardly anybody's taken advantage of it. If you're a homeowner in Dutchess County and your combined household income is less than $175,000 a year, you're eligible for a 100% free energy audit from NYSERDA, which means 80–90% of the homeowners in Dutchess County are eligible for a 100% free energy audit. But I found out from Heather Saunders, the Director of Intergovernmental Affairs for NYSERDA in the last week, that out of about 110,000 homeowners in Dutchess County, only 548 have taken advantage of this. So I've had this idea for a while. Francine Amparo, who's a new Wappinger County legislator, is co-sponsoring with me to sort of have a friendly competition between, Rhinebeck and Red Hook, and Tivoli, and Clinton, and Wappinger, and Poughkeepsie. There's 22 different municipalities in Dutchess County, cities, towns, and villages. And what if we had a friendly competition to see per capita, not just raw numbers, but pure capita, how many, how high a percentage of homeowners in the towns and municipalities could take advantage of this. And the unemployment rate in Dutchess County is 8.2% still. It's about twice what it was during the last decade on average. And this is a very real way we can lift ourselves up by our bootstraps, because the beauty of Green Jobs, Green New York is it's the 100% free energy audits. BPI certified, Building Performance Institute certified contractor comes out to your house, does a blower door test, infrared scan, sees where the hot air is escaping, in the winter, where the cool air is escaping in the summer, and an energy efficiency loan retrofit is offered. And we're talking about a lot of money that's available through on-bill financing. You can pay it off on your electric bills. And the beauty is the savings on the electric bills is more than what it costs to pay off the loan. So we're talking about cleaning up air quality. Dutchess County air quality is a D. Still, according to the American Lung Association, over 30,000 people with asthma, bronchitis, or emphysema. We're talking about saving a lot of money, $1 billion over the next 10 years on energy bills if everybody in Dutchess County did this. So anyway, it's NYSERDA.org is the website. And so the forum is Tuesday, August 28th, 5:30 here at Rhinebeck Town Hall. The other idea is a time bank. I don't know how many people were aware of this, but sort of this movement and this new economy movement sweeping the country. I had a chance to bump into Garal Parovitz and Bill McKibben and David Brancaccio recently at Bard College, the New Economics Institute conference. And FixingTheFuture.org is this new website started by David Brancaccio. There's over 100 time banks across the country. And people right here in Rhinebeck and Dutchess County are hurting. Like I said, the unemployment rate is still about twice what it was 4 or 5 years ago. If you go to timebanks.org or woodstocktimebank.org, you can see what I'm talking about. It's all about where everyone is an asset. It's about building community, where everybody's time is valued equally. Woodstock Time Bank, in the first 2 years, they had 6,300 hours exchanged: plumbing, carpentry, tutoring, home repair, healthcare, dog walking, legal advice, cooking, accounting, sewing, computer services, gardening, just about anything under the sun. And it operates on the principle that we all have a skill. We're all worthwhile human beings. And there's a lot of unemployment out there. A lot of people are suffering. A lot of people have skills and they're not being used. So again, that's Tuesday, August 28th, 5:30 p.m. here. The only other thing I'll say is this. The reason why I passed this out, I've been handing these out for the last year or two, is because you would think that nobody would design a map where I live in the town of Clinton. I went to high school in Rhinebeck, but I recently saw a map of proposed county legislative districts where my little section of the town of Clinton was put together with Hyde Park. So I would be forced to run for re-election against Rich Perkins, who's another Democrat. You know, the Poughkeepsie Journal, the Daily Frame, and the New York Times, a lot of people have agreed that redistricting needs to be done impartially, nonpartisan basis, independent. And, you know, a year ago, we had Susan Lerner, who's the president of Common Cause, over at Rhinebeck Village Hall at a forum that I organized. Dare Thompson, the president of the Minnesota League of Women Voters, talking, and she was the head of the Ulster County Legislature's independent commission on reapportionment. It's not too late. It ain't over till the pleasantly plump lady sings. You know, it looks as if possibly, you know, all these rumors are floating around that, oh, maybe the Democrats have their own plan, maybe the Republicans have their own plan. Very soon, the official proposal is going to be floated. And what I'm saying is, Common Cause, they came up with a citizens redistricting commission for New York State for the federal districts, and that was followed, and it made front page coverage. It's not too late to build an independent, nonpartisan group of Republicans and Democrats here in Rhinebeck and all across the county to make it happen. And that guidebook from the Brennan Center for Justice is a good way to a lot of recommendations are there. And there are free softwares online. There's free computer programs so that we can just feed in the county's information. And so don't be surprised in the next month or two if you see me hosting a forum here and Fred Nagel's DVD projector and his laptop and having people compete, because frankly, you would not believe the games that are going on this. A year ago, it was on the front page of the Poughkeepsie Journal. Joel Tyner's appointed to be part of the reapportionment committee, and then I was booted off. And then some very funny things are happening to propose districts to yours truly. So anyway, more questions, comments, concerns on any of this? I'm at 876-2488. Thank you for your patience.
Thanks, Joel.
Joel, are they talking about a deadline to make this redistricting, or no? You know,
At last Monday's, about 7 days ago, the full board meeting of the county legislature, Chairman Rollison announced that very soon the Republicans' proposed plan would be floated to the ad hoc committee. And so hopefully we'll see the official plan. I mean, there are friends, because I've been kicking around as a political activist for 20 years. I know people, everybody knows people. I know people who've already seen the Republican plan.
right.
It's not pretty. But it'll be officially open in public very soon.
Thanks, Joel. Bruce?
Oh, boy. I get to take a microphone, too.
Yeah.
That's the last.
No, everybody's worn down now. So,
Take 30 seconds and run.
Bruce, is this something we should move our seats for,
I
or?
needed the hard copy so you didn't have to move.
You did?
Oh, it's
That's
this?
not this.
Bruce, is this the trail system or these pages you've given out on compensation?
It's the total compensation stuff. Okay, basically what I've done is I've taken the total compensation spreadsheets that we've asked the bookkeeper to do for a couple of years and summarized them and added the 2012 budget and actual information into that. And what I also did in this was to look at the wages that are the normal regional wages, and it's because we've expressed concern about a living wage around here. And I think we do have some problems with that, and I think we do need to address that in budget time, which we're coming up to right now. So for the first part is the full-time bargaining unit folks, and it has the position, and where the percentage after that is where they are to the median for that job in the region. The thing to remember with the region is it includes Westchester and several other counties. So Westchester has a 72% cost of living bump, where we're like 28 to 30% here. So you're talking about a range, and you have a greater population down there.
I'm sorry, so the area includes Westchester, Dutchess?
Rockland, Putnam, Orange.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can send you the thing. Actually, I'll put it on the website. so anybody can get to it. And the big thing with this is the three groupings. You've got the bargaining unit up above, then you've got the full-time, non-bargaining unit folks in the middle, then you've got the part-time folks at the bottom. And it's on a scale from 1 to 100, and what it's showing is their compensation, how much of it is benefits and how much of it is the normal wage. So you can see that the full-time people really get an awful lot of their compensation from benefits, and that the part-time people, on the other hand, get very little from benefits, and they're very, very dependent on the wages. And when we look at where they are in the wages, they're probably the ones who are underpaid based on the comparison to the median. So that's something we'd want to look at when we go through budgets.
Bruce, what does the percentage mean by the title? Working foreman,
That's where they
170.
are compared to the median in the region.
So they're 171% higher than the median in the region?
They're 171% of the median. So if the median's 100, they would be 171.
Okay.
Okay? So you would see that for people who have been in a job title for a long period of time. You would expect that their salaries would have creeped up and that kind of a thing.
So it's 171%
They're over the median.
of the median of wages and benefits?
No, just wages.
Wages.
Just wages in this case. So, and so what part of what I'm doing here is I'm saying the town board has to get more active with total compensation.
Agreed.
And I've been saying that before, and I'm saying it again. The next slide is basically what we've done is we've taken the same group of people and we've taken their salary or wage from 2010 and their benefits onto it. So the red line is the first red bar is what their wage was in 2010. The blue line is their benefits that they received in 2010. And then any red after that would be increases in wages, any blue would be increases in benefits. So up at the top, they're looking pretty good because of the contract in many cases. The folks in the middle, the full-time, the barbs and so on, haven't gotten any raises in a few years, but they've had increases in the benefits because retirement and medical and stuff like that going up. Kathy's another one in that boat, but she's not on this chart. And then the folks at the bottom, there's a couple little hits in there for red. You may remember we gave out some 1% and 2% raises a few years ago. So there might be some red in there, but otherwise they haven't had much change and they don't have much in the way of benefits. Have I lost everybody yet?
Nope. So far, so good.
Okay. All right, now this is the first half of 2012. This is the total compensation per hour worked. So what that means is I'm counting time off as a benefit, and I really think it is a benefit. So in the town hall group, the average was they were here 88%, and they were off 12%, and the average pay for that group was $47.75 an hour. And that pay means total compensation, the combination of wages and benefits for that group. The person who was here the most was here 91% and out 9%, and the total compensation was 47.82% for that person. And then the person who was here the least was here 82% and out 18%, and they made $64.96 an hour. Now, if you think about that, if you're not being paid by the hour that you're here and you're out, your compensation goes up because you're getting something for nothing. Okay, so that's kind of the point. And the other thing about this, you got to remember, people take vacation, they get sick, they have other things. They're entitled to other things. So this will vary throughout the year. You can go ahead.
When you say out, are you counting vacation time?
Right. The only thing I'm not counting in here are holidays, because the department that they're in or the function that they're in wouldn't be open during a holiday, even though we budget for it in the town. We do that kind of a thing. And then you can see it's highway and then the infrastructure, which is maintenance, the cemetery, and transfer station.
I'm sorry, what was, you said vacation is in what's out?
Vacation I've taken out of, or vacation's in, holidays have been taken out.
Holidays out.
So, because the place isn't open. And what I was actually looking at with this originally was, I was trying to understand some of the complaints we get about people not being here when they come here for a particular department. And I also get it for the pool. As an example, people complain to me because the pool's closed because it's thundering. So I get it from all directions. The next one is the trends and changes. And in this case, what we've done is we've compared to other towns. There's a thing on there called the DC benchmark, or DC B/M. That stands for Dutchess County Benchmark. And that's a comparison of Class 2 towns of Dover, Pauling, and Pleasant Valley. And this is the average of those 3 towns. And I picked those because they seem similar and comparison for that. And then in working with Kat...
This is not all Class 2 towns.
It's just those 3.
If you put all Class 2 towns in, did you do that?
Yeah, I've done that before, and the last time I did that, you told me don't focus on everything, just pick a few. Last year when I was in here with
And I
this.
don't remember that.
Yeah, but I did. That's the way it was. Yeah, Kathy remembers it. And then the other part of it was, in working with Elizabeth and Kathy, there'd been some questions about how do we compare it to Fishkill and Red Hook. They're Class 1 because they're over 10,000, but I put them in, and so we have that as well. So the benchmarks or the different lines here are the averages of those towns in that group. If you look on the personal services or wages cost chart, you'll see that we were tracking about with the other towns or slightly below until 2006, and then we started going way up, and we've been quite a ways up for that period of time.
But I'm lost. I see RBK, presumably that's Rhinebeck's
Yes.
line. What is DCBM line?
Dutchess County Benchmark, which is
So
Dover, Pauling, and Pleasant Valley,
So
the
that's
average of those 3.
3 towns, and Highway BM,
That's the average of Fishkill and Red Hook.
just for highway.
No. Those this particular chart is town-wide, everything in the town, not just highway. I've just used the highway is because that was where the request came from, to do that comparison. And then if you look at the employee benefit costs, we had gone up much earlier in the 2005 timeframe, and we'd stayed there. The other caveat with this, so you understand, is 2011 and 2012 are adopted budgets. They're not actuals. Everything up to 2010 are actuals from the state. So on the surface, if everything was the same and everybody was providing the same services and everybody had the same population and everything else, it would seem that we're spending more money than the other 2 towns are, or the other 5 towns are doing to do this. The next chart is, and Kathy and I kind of went through this, a little bit of this today. This is not cast in stone. She's going to point out my error in my ways as time goes on. So this is just preliminary work. But the highway budget is a significant portion of the town budget. Am I real loud here or something? I sound like I'm...
Yeah, it sounds a little loud.
I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe it's because I have my hearing aids in. I don't know. But if you look at 2011, the red line for Rhinebeck is wages, and the blue line are benefits. So the highway department, and just not Kathy and her secretary, but just the guys down at the garage, their total compensation was 51% of the town's total compensation. That's how you read that chart. And
What do you mean? So 51% of our personnel line goes to the highway department people?
Yep.
Okay, so 49% is for everybody else.
right, right,
59% goes to 10, 10 people.
right.
Okay.
Right. So that's that, and then did the same thing with the other towns, and I did it for 2012 as well. And again, these are from their adopted budgets. So the Kathy and I could have some common ground for discussion. We tried to figure it out from lane miles so that we could get a productivity thing. I don't want to bore you folks with that, but Kathy is an expert at this, so something I can deal with Kathy on for that kind of a thing. You have to normalize. And then based on that, we looked at it, and our spending tends to be higher than the comparison towns. And when you add all that up, it's a lot of money. You know, year after year after year, it amounts to a whole lot of money. So what we have to deal with is what we know needs to be done here, how it's done, and versus what we can afford. And that's a tough one, because what Heinz is doing with capital is going to end up being a trade-off. We're going to end, because there's only finite amount of money that we have. So we're going to have to start making trade-offs with benefits, with capital, with a lot of other things. And we're going to ask people to pay for part of their medical. That'll change those lines up there a little bit, but not significantly. So there's money moving around here, and that's why we have to start looking at this stuff. So,
Bruce, on this one, I'm not sure I understand this comparison in terms of lane miles. This just says how many miles and type of road in each of the jurisdictions?
right. If you look at Red Hook, they have 57.4. We have 57.4 basic miles that we work with. That kind of a thing. If you did a comparison like that, that would be okay, except when you go to a place that has more miles or less miles. So we tried to put a little bit of not complexity, but a little bit of what you really have to deal with into it.
But this one
And it was based on comments that we've gotten over the years.
But this one doesn't say anything about cost, right? It's just a comparison
On
of
the table chart?
No.
comparison.
But
Yeah.
what chart, can you put the chart up that Joe's talking about?
He's on
I don't
this
know what
one.
he's on.
He's on this one.
Back
Bruce.
to,
That one?
Yeah, yep, that one.
Okay, okay. You're talking about the highway spending.
Right. I went to the next page.
Okay, that's what was puzzling me.
So anyway, this one was a lot of money. The reason I gave you the board the hard copies is so that you can take them home, because you're not going to absorb all this tonight. I have a tendency to make things too complicated. So, as Tom keeps telling me. So,
It'll be on the web too, these charts.
yeah,
right?
we'll put them on the web. Then what I did was I looked at the budgets again, normalized for the lane miles of the Rhinebeck compared to the comparison towns, and this is just wages and benefits, so it's total compensation. Excuse me. And you can see that we pay a little bit more, not significantly more, than the comparisons of the other towns.
But what does that number include?
Wages and benefits. What's the benefits?
Well, it says, oh, that's,
Not coughing in the back of your neck.
yeah, I'm confused. Budget per DOT lane mile, wages and benefits. So you're saying per lane mile, that's what we spend?
Thank you, sir. Yes. Well, that's what our budget is for that.
Is that? Okay.
Is he on this one?
Right here.
If you have $100 and 100 lane miles, those numbers would be equal to 1. So it's your budget divided by the number of lane miles. Okay?
So you're saying that in Rhinebeck, I'm just looking at the 3427, if I add those two together, you're saying it looks like there is a big difference between Rhinebeck and these other groups. You said it was little.
Well, in the grand scheme of things, it comes out to about $150,000 a year on average. That's what it comes out to. But it varies from year to year. And again, I'm just looking at, these are just the current budgets. What you'll notice here is with the Dutchess County budget, the benchmark, the last one's on there, you'll notice that their employee costs or wages and benefits have gone down from 2011 to 2012, where the middle ones, the highway, the Red Hook, and the Fishkill towns have gone up. They've increased their wages and they've increased their benefits. So you've got two different actions going on here.
Well, I can't hear the question.
This is just expense. It's not net expense. So while I have another piece of work with the net, this is not net. Okay, the next one is to show, we take those two sets of numbers that we saw on the previous page, the red and the blue, and then we throw in the operations, which are the materials, the equipment, the stuff to do the job that the people work with. And then the yellow is the debt. And when Kathy and I were talking about this, she pointed out that Red Hook is probably very low because they build a new garage or something up there. So, you know, it's that kind of a thing. I just took the numbers out of the budgets, and this shouldn't be taken as cast in stone. It's just an indicator. Oh boy. No, capital's not in there. Well, capital is in there in a way. If you count the road improvements as capital, then it's in there. If you count something like Hoggs Bridge, which would have been outside of that, would have been pure capital. That's tracked elsewhere. That part would be in there, but the expense of the black part on there. So in summary, I really think the town board's got to take a more active role in reviewing the compensation. I think we can't just take the reports and say yes. I think we should look at the regional wages and benefits data, maybe even get a consultant or something to do that so we're sure that we're objective. Because these cost of living and earning a living wage issues are real, and I think we're the ones that have to deal with that. I think we need to set ranges for compensation, and I think we need to communicate that to people so that they understand what they're getting. It's not just so much per hour. It's the benefits included in that. The time off and everything else, the medical and so on. Let's see, time off is another thing which we really need to monitor. I see a lot of variation in that. And the last one, which is the one that Kathy and I will keep working on, and I was very happy today because I think we agreed to try to work together on these things, that we need to either justify this additional expense or come in line with the other towns.
Well, can I just respond a little bit to that last, can we go back to that last page? First of all, I don't think this should go on the web because we haven't vetted it. I don't know that I agree with these. in all respect. I mean, if you want to put it on the web, then everyone else will put a rebuttal on the web. A lot of these jobs are union jobs, and a lot of the jobs that you're talking about the board overseeing are highway department. That's not the town board's purview to oversee the highway department jobs. Is that what you're referring to there?
No, I'm referring to in general, and also it is the town board's purview to set the budget for the highway.
Yes, but it's not our responsibility or within our scope.
I agree. I
Okay.
agree with that.
All right.
We don't
So-
manage that.
But, you know, we've got union issues that we have to deal with that we can't, it just sounds so easy by adjusting, you know, compensation, but we can't do that in all cases.
Well, but really, that's what we're up against here. We either keep going the way we've been going, which is just reacting to everything, or we decide we're going to stick to our guns and do something. And what is the cost structure that we want? And we have to have that discussion. And now with the budget is the time to do that. It's not being told after the fact that, oh, retirement went up 15%. That's no good, because that's 15% that we don't know where it's going to come from. We're taking it someplace else. That's why I was asking before about the timing of some of this stuff. We have got to get proactive with the compensation portion of our budget. It's huge.
So you're
Bruce, are these other towns like Dover, Pauling, Pleasant Valley, are they unionized?
Some of them are Dover's Teamsters, definitely.
What about Pauling and Pleasant Valley?
I'm not sure about Pauling. I had trouble finding that out.
So how can we compare ourselves to non-union shops?
Well, but just because it's a union shop, it's the same service.
Well,
It doesn't mean it's a better service or a lesser service.
well,
that's
there's, you know, a cost to labor in a union.
absolutely. And that's the kind of thing that the town, it's a tough job, but that's what the town board should be weighing.
What about Fishkill and Red Hook? Are they unionized?
Red Hook isn't, and Fishkill, for some reason, I got the impression it was a split shop, but I'll verify that.
This one, Heinz? The pies? Yeah, this one. This one, Bruce. The Christmas pies.
Yeah, I'm trying to get there.
Bruce, if I could suggest next time you do a presentation like this, you number the pages, it would be very helpful.
It doesn't work for me because I drink vodka. Let me just go home and like shut vodka down.
Well, that's in some sense that's true, but not necessarily. What this is really showing you is you get more compensation for an hour not worked.
But I think it's an important piece of that that answers your question is that people who have been employed longer will have, if you work X amount of years, 2 weeks vacation, if you work X amount of years, you have, 3 weeks vacation, versus counting the time, whether it's not just highway, it's town hall, and everybody up here, time that is the granted leave time that they have in their time bank. Just because somebody has worked here for 20 years, they may have a much longer time. So they have a higher rate of absenteeism because they have more time they're eligible to take. So I think that number is.
No, there's vacation, there's sick time, there's personal time, there's lots of things in there.
So what's the takeaway from this, and what's your proposal for addressing it?
the takeaway from this page?
From the presentation, we have to be more proactive in,
Acknowledging full compensation.
Let him talk.
I think that's what he says on the wrap-up.
Why don't we let him talk?
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. We need to get more involved in the compensation part of it. And I don't think we are. I have not been I haven't had the information to be involved in
well,
it.
how do we do that?
We get the information, and definitely at budget time, we figure it out. And we should also do it at an individual level. What we tend to do is say, okay, everybody gets 1%, and I'm exaggerating, but everybody gets 1% or everybody gets no percent, kind of thing. And we really should look at the different jobs and see what jobs are worth.
But 51% of our budget goes to what percentage of our employee population? 20%?
Well, that was the point, that's an area that we need to work on. But we have problems in other areas, we have imbalances in other areas as well.
Bruce, in this pie chart, is this vacations actually used or eligibility for vacations? And same thing with sick pay. Is it actually used or what they're entitled to?
This is actual.
Actual use?
The bar charts, except where you get to 2000, when you get out to 2012 on the bar charts, they're projections. The actuals are 2010 and 2011, but this is actuals because I took this right off of the payroll records.
Question, how is unpaid time off or like workers' comp issues?
It's included as time off, just like any the other. It's all lumped together. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. That took you a lot of time.
Yeah.
And so we have a motion to adjourn into executive session pursuant to a Public Officers Law, Section 105(1)F, to discuss personnel matters. All right, guys?
A personnel matter, labor negotiations, and an update on a legal advice.
Litigation. Litigation? or
No, legal advice regarding
Okay. All
personnel
right.
issues. Yeah.
Do I have a motion and second?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. And we're going to decide anything or no?
I don't,
So we're to get back into session. Motion and second?
motion?
Second?
And then all in favor, aye?
Well,
So
should
we
we
have
say
a,
what the motion
Oh,
is?
just to come back into session.
Oh, okay, yes, okay.
So the town has, an employee has announced the secretary of the highway superintendent has announced she's leaving her position. It's a 20-hour a week position. And there's concern to advertise for the position, and the town board will make a motion and second to give the highway superintendent permission to advertise for the secretary to the highway superintendent. And do we need details of that or no?
For the position not to exceed 20 hours a week, I believe we said?
Yes.
Yeah, for the position not to exceed 20 hours per week at a initial rate of $11 per hour.
Initial rate of $11.
All right. We have a motion and second?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? So moved.
Opposed? Just the rate.
Okay, all right.
Am I allowed to vote like that? Yeah.
Yeah, that was the
Yeah,
initial,
I-
that was the
I'm-
initial rate.
Yeah.
Okay. All
I'm
right.
not voting for the rate. I think it's a little low, a little insufficient, but.
So, motion and second to adjourn. to executive
Well,
session.
I move we go back into executive session.
Right. Second?
Second?
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so moved.
Thank you, Fred.